let's welcome in a legal expert who handles workplace and employment issues. Doug Uloff is going to join us now, or is joining us now. Talk a little bit about faith and work and how they can work together. Hey, Doug, good morning.
Good morning.
But I guess like anything else, either side of this, either the employer or the employee can go overboard, right, with this?
Absolutely, and that fact is indicated by the increase in the number of complaints filed with the EEOC on the basis of religious observation.
Doug, what are we talking about when we talk about accommodating religion? Give us some examples.
Frequently, the cases arise where an employer is asked by an employee to accommodate a need to have a specific day off, often particular need to observe a day of non-work for specific religions, and that will often conflict with the scheduling that the employer has assigned to that employee. It frequently arises, much of the litigation involves requirements of Seventh-day Adventists to observe a day of non-work, which is also common amongst Orthodox Jews. It also arises in the context of Muslims being required to observe 5 instances of prayer throughout the day. So the employer will be asked to accommodate not having that particular worker scheduled on a day, or finding some way to allow the worker to fulfill the restrictions of his religion as he sees it's required.
It seems to me, and I suppose there's got to be, I mean, you've got to be able to do this. You've got to be able to have your religion and still be able to function in society by having a job, et cetera, et cetera. So if, let's take the Muslim thing, for example, where you have to stop via the religion and pray 5 times a day. It seems to me that it would be okay with me as an employer if the employee did that, as long as that's not factored into the actual time you're working. So if you normally would get off at 5, maybe you'll get off at 6 because you're taking this time off during the day to do that. Would that be considered okay?
That could be the result of a negotiated resolution between the employer and the employee. The employers are obligated under the Civil Rights Act to accommodate employees' religion unless it causes an undue hardship in the employer's conduct of its business. What that means varies very specifically depending on the employer's circumstances. A good example of that is there was a Muslim group who were all workers in a meat packing plant, and they wished to have accommodation to be able to pray 5 times a day, but the employer did a very detailed analysis of exactly how much money it lost for each minute someone was away from the production floor. And in that particular case, the EOC or the court had decided that the employer had done what it needed to, and it wasn't required to accommodate that because it affected the employer too adversely. If you're in a different work environment, such as you're suggesting, staying an hour late to make up for lost time or other things could easily be something that the worker and the employer come to an agreement on. There is an additional factor in many of these companies being large employers is you have the union and the union work rules that get involved, so it's often a 3-way negotiation between the union, employer, and the worker.
Understood. That's very interesting, and I'm sure this could, we could talk for an hour about this. It's fascinating, and like we talked about it, alluded to at the very beginning, how this can get completely out of control.
Oh, yeah,
but the trick is being able to rein it in and then make everybody happy, or at least as happy as they can be. Doug Uloff, employment expert, is with us. Thanks so much, Doug. We appreciate it. Good stuff.
Thank you for having me.